Lizzie Borden was born on July 19, 1860 in Fall River, Massachusetts. Lizzie Borden lived with her sister Emma, her father Andrew, and her stepmother, Abby Borden. The relationship between the Borden sisters and their stepmother Abby wasn't that great. They greeted her as Mrs. Borden and worried that Abby Borden's family sought to gain access to her father's money. On the morning of August 4th, 1892, at 92 2nd Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, Bridget Sullivan, the maid of the Borden family, rested in her bed after she washed the windows. She heard the city bell ring and she looked at her clock, which happened to be 11 o'clock. All of a sudden, she heard a cry from Lizzie Borden. She screamed, "Maggie, come down quick. Father is dead. Somebody came in and killed him." A half hour or so later, after the body was hacked almost beyond recognition of Andrew Borden had been covered downstairs and searched by the police for evidence. All of a sudden, upstairs, they decided to go take a look, and they found the body of Abby Borden, Lizzie's stepmother. Investigators found Abby's cold body, while Andrew's had been discovered warm, indicating that Abby was killed earlier at least 90 minutes than her husband. About 2 days after the murder, papers began reporting evidence that Lizzie Borden, 33 at the time, might have had something to do with them. Most significantly, a clerk at the drugstore in Fall River told the police that Lizzie earlier that the day prior had visited the store in an attempt to buy prussic acid, which is a deadly poison. 26-year-old Bridget Sullivan testified that Lizzie was the only person she saw in the home at the time her parents were murdered. Household guest John Morse, age 60, was described to have breakfast in the Borden home on the morning of the murders and then leaving the house to perform his chores. His alibi checked out. The most compelling testimony came from Alice Russell, who was a friend of Lizzie. She described a visit from her the night before the murders, when she announced that she would be going away on vacation soon, and she felt that something is hanging over me. I cannot tell what it is. According to Russell, after she described her parents' severe stomach sickness, which they thought was because of the baker's bad bread, Lizzie revealed, "I feel afraid something's going to happen." Explaining her feeling, Lizzie told Russell she wanted to sleep with one eye open half the time for fear somebody might burn their house down or hurt her father because he was so discourteous to people. District Attorney Moody asked Russell about the dress burning incident. Russell recounted that when she asked Lizzie what she was doing with the blue dress she wore the day of the murders, she replied, "I'm going to burn this old thing up. It's covered with paint."
Give me your full name.
Lizzie Andrew Borden.
Is it Lizzie or Elizabeth?
Lizzie.
You were so christened?
I was so christened.
What is your age, please?
32.
Your mother's not living?
No, sir.
When did she die?
She died when I was 2.5 years old.
You don't remember her then?
No, sir.
What was your father's age?
He was 70 next month.
What was his whole name?
Andrew Jackson Borden.
And your stepmother, what's her whole name?
Abby Durfee Borden.
How long had your father been married to your stepmother?
I think about 27 years.
How much of that time had they lived in the house on 2nd Street?
I'm not sure, but I think about 20 years last night.
What dress did you wear the day they were killed?
I had on a navy blue sort of bengaline silk skirt with a navy blue blouse. In the afternoon, they thought I had better change it, so I put on a pink wrapper.
Did you change your clothing before the afternoon?
No, sir.
You dressed in the morning as you have described and kept that clothing until the afternoon?
Yes, sir.
When did Morse come there first? I don't mean this visit, I mean as a visitor. John V. Morse.
Do you mean this day that he came and stayed all night?
No. Was this visit the first to your house?
He has been in the East earlier this year. 14 years ago, was it? Was it not?
I'm not answering questions, but asking them.
I don't remember the date. He was here that winter.
Has he been here since?
He has been here once since. I do not know whether he has or has not since.
How many times this last year has he been to your house?
None at all to speak of. Nothing more than a night or two at a time.
How often did he come to spend a night or two?
Really, I don't know. I'm away much myself.
Your last answer is that you don't know how much he had been here because you had been away yourself so much.
Yes.
That is true the last year since. That is true the last year since he has been east.
I have not been away the last year so much, but the other times I have been away when he has been here.
Do I understand you to say that his last visit before this one was 14 years ago?
No, he has been here once between the two.
How long did he stay then?
I don't know.
Give me your best remembrance.
I don't know. 5 or
Oh.
6 years, perhaps 6.
Where were you Wednesday evening?
I spent that evening with Miss Russell.
As near as you can remember, when did you return?
About 9 o'clock at night.
The family had then retired?
I don't know whether they had or had not. I went right to my room. I don't remember.
You did not look to see?
No, sir.
Which door did you come in at?
The front door.
Did you lock it?
Yes, sir.
For the night?
Yes, sir.
And went right upstairs to your room?
Yes, sir.
When was it that you heard the voice of Mr. Morse?
I heard him down there about supper time. No, it was earlier than that. I heard him down there somewhere about 3 o'clock, I think. I was in my room Wednesday not feeling well all day.
Did you eat supper at home Wednesday night?
I was at home. I did not eat my supper because I did not feel able to eat my supper. I had been sick.
You didn't come down to supper?
No, sir.
Did you hear him eating supper?
No, sir. I did not know whether he was there or not.
You heard him in the afternoon?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear him go away?
I did not.
You did not go down to see him?
No, sir.
Oh, was you in bed?
No, sir. I was on the lounge.
Why did you not go down?
I did not care to go down, and I was not feeling well, and kept in my room all day.
You felt better in the evening?
Not very much better. I thought I would go out and see if the air would make me feel any better.
When you came back at 9 o'clock, you did not look to see if the family were up?
No, sir.
Why not?
I rarely do when I come in.
You go right to your room.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a night key?
Yes, sir.
How did you know I was right to lock the front door?
That was always my business.
How many locks do you fasten?
The spring locks itself, and there is a key to turn, and then you manipulate the bolts.
You manipulated all of those.
I used them all.
Then you went to bed?
Yes, directly.
When you got up for the next morning, did you see Mr. Morse?
I did not.
Had the family breakfast when you came down?
Yes, sir.
What time did you come downstairs?
As near as I can remember, it was a few minutes before 9.
Who did you find downstairs when you came down?
Maggie and Mrs. Borden.
Did you inquire for Miss Morse?
No, sir.
Did you suppose he had gone?
I did not know whether he had or not. He was just not there.
Your father was there?
Yes, sir.
Then you found him?
Yes, sir.
Did you speak to either your father or Mrs. Borden?
I spoke to them all.
What about Mr. Morse?
I did not mention him.
What was the next thing that happened after you got down?
Maggie went out of the doors to wash the windows, and Father came out into the kitchen and said he did not know whether he would go down to the post office or not. And then I sprinkled some handkerchiefs to iron.
Tell us again what time you came downstairs.
It was a little before 9. I should say about a quarter. I'm not sure.
Did your father go downtown?
He went down later.
What time did he start away?
I don't know.
You were not upstairs when he came home. Well,
He came home after I came downstairs.
you were not upstairs when he came home?
I was not upstairs when he came home. No, sir.
What was Maggie doing when your father came home?
I don't know whether she was there or whether she had gone upstairs. I can't remember.
Who let your father in?
I think he came to the front door and rang the bell, and I think Maggie let him in, and he had said he forgot his key, so I think she must have been downstairs.
Then you were upstairs when your father came to the house on his return?
I think I was.
How long had you been up there?
I had only been upstairs long enough to take the clothes up to the waist and the little loop on the sleeve. I don't think I had been there for over 5 minutes.
Was Maggie still engaged in washing windows when your father got back?
I do not know.
You remember, Mrs. Borden. I will call to your attention to it as to see I have any misunderstanding. Not for the purpose of confusing you. Remember that you told me several times that you were downstairs and not upstairs when your father came home. You have forgotten, perhaps?
I don't know what I have said. I have answered so many questions and I'm so confused. I don't know one thing from another. I am telling you, you are just as early. I know how.
Calling your attention to what you said about that a few minutes ago, and now again to the circumstances. You said you were upstairs when the bell rang and were on the stairs when Maggie let your father in. Which now is your recollection of the true statement of the matter? That you were downstairs when the bell rang and your father came? Had you built up the fire again?
I put a stick of wood. There were a few sparks. I put in a stick of wood to try to heat the flat.
You had then started the fire?
Yes, sir.
The fire was burning when he came in.
No, sir, but it was smoldering and smoking as I thought it would come up.
I felt you were feeling better than you were in the morning. Oh, did it come up after you came in?
No, sir.
You were feeling better than you were in the morning?
I felt a little better in the morning than I did the night before.
That is not what I asked you. You were then where you were in that lay hoft, looking out the window and eating 3 pears. Feeling better, were you not, than you were in the morning when you could not eat any breakfast?
I never eat any breakfast.
You did not answer my question, and you will if I have to put it all day. Were you then where you were eating those 3 pears in that hot loft, looking out the closed window, feeling better than you were in the morning when you ate no breakfast?
I was feeling well enough to eat pears.
Were you feeling better than you were in the morning?
I don't think I felt very sick in the morning. Only, yes, I do not know, but I did feel better. As I say, I don't know whether I eat any breakfast or not, or whether I ate a cookie.
Were you then feeling better than you did in the morning?
I do not know how to answer you because I told you I felt better in the morning anyways.
Do you not understand my question? My question is whether, when you were in the loft of that barn, you were feeling better than you were in the morning when you got up.
No, I felt about the same.
Were you feeling better than you were when you told your mother you did not care for any dinner?
No, sir, I felt about the same.
When you saw your father, where was he?
On the sofa,
What was his position?
lying down.
Describe anything else you noticed at that time.
I did not notice anything else. I was just so frightened and horrified. I ran to the foot and stairs and called Maggie.
Did you notice that he had been cut?
Yes, that's what made me afraid.
Did you notice that he was dead?
I did not know whether he was or was not.
Did you make any search for your mother?
No, sir.
Why not?
I thought she was out of the house. I thought she had gone out. I called Maggie to go to Dr. Bowen's. When they came in, I said, I do not know where Mrs. Borden is. I said, I thought she had gone out.
Did you tell Maggie you thought your mother had come in?
No, sir.
That you thought you heard her come in?
No, sir.
Did you say to anybody that you thought she was killed upstairs?
No, sir.
To anybody?
No, sir.
You made no effort to find your mother at all?
No, sir. Professor Tom Marulio and Detective Tom Lang of O.J. Simpson fame look at the handless hatchet and Abby's scarf.
Okay, this appears to be a scarf apparently worn by Abby at the time she was killed. It appears to be somewhat shredded, very old, and be very careful with that. That's very fragile. Can't tell much about this, but this is interesting right here. It appeared to be a cut mark.
For the first time, these two pieces of evidence are brought together.
This is what I want. I've been wanting to do this right here.
Okay.
I just for the heck of it, I wanted to see this particular hole right here. It's certainly consistent with this
It is.
very nicely.
The hatchet head fits the slit.
Perfectly.
The investigators seem to have made a break. Although much of the evidence that we have points directly to Lizzie, at the time it was still very hard to prove that it was actually her. As well, with it being back in the 1800s, it was such a rare thing for a female to have committed such a horrendous crime, especially to her parents.
I'm in the habit of coming. Oh my god, in here!